After threatening an announcement all day long, the European Super League has finally been announced. 12 clubs have put forward a proposal to see a new format for European football. And as we can see from the reaction on Twitter and from the reaction in this live chat right now, fans aren't happy. Adam Phillips says absolutely fuming. Jordan Stevens says it's a disgrace. Bradley says what a disgrace. Lily White Lane, Robbie says, I'm disgusted with the news today. The billionaires who have no knowledge on football have ruined the beautiful game. Today, I'm going to be going through what you need to know about the European Super League and what this could potentially mean for the future of European domestic football, especially for Tottenham Hotspur. As it says in the title of this one, Tottenham could be relegated to the National League. There are a number of reports coming out, some backed up by UEFA statements earlier today and some that are purely speculation, but have to be taken very seriously as UEFA look to clamp down very quickly on this game-changing announcement from these clubs tonight. Martin Mangan, welcome to the stream, says, I feel physically sick. And Martin, you're not the only one who here as well, saying this is a disgrace. So, look, the news broke earlier today. It was in the afternoon that the UEFA were holding an emergency meeting after clubs had made rapid progress on plans for a proposal for European Super League. They held an emergency meeting. None of the 12 founding clubs of the European Super League attended that meeting. It was, however, attended by PSG and Bayern Munich, who are among the teams that are standing up against this. No teams from France or Germany is taking part in this competition and this proposal, which of course has a long way to go before there is anything concrete, but big steps tonight taken by these clubs. This whole thing being led, of course, by Florentino Perez, the president of Real Madrid. And let's take a quick look at the teams that are in this. So as Fabrizio Romano tweeted about 51 minutes ago, following on from the official statement, the 12 clubs that are involved in this are AC Milan, Arsenal, Atletico Madrid, Chelsea, Barcelona, Inter Milan, Juventus, Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United, Real Madrid, and Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham tweeted a little over half an hour ago confirming their involvement in this proposal. And we're going to run through the proposal from the Super League themselves, the reasoning behind this, the format of the competition. But first, let's take a look at the statement from Spurs 39 minutes ago. As I say, leading European football clubs announce new Super League competition. I actually haven't read this from Spurs yet, so I'm going through this for the first time along with you. Spurs have said, we can confirm that we have joined 11 other European clubs in agreeing to form a new competition, the European Super League. A joint statement released on behalf of all 12 founding clubs can be viewed below, and we shall look to provide further details in due course. We are committed to working with all stakeholders, particularly supporters, as plans for the competition develop. Now, the biggest thing that I'm looking for in this is UEFA said earlier today that any club that partakes in the European Super League will be immediately kicked out of all domestic, European and world competitions held by UEFA, or in fact FIFA, as Fabrizio Romano has confirmed. FIFA are also opposed to these plans. So let's take a look at this statement. 12 of Europe's leading football clubs have today come together to announce they have agreed to establish a new midweek competition, the Super League, governed by its founding clubs. Go through those teams again: AC Milan, Arsenal, Atletico Madrid, Chelsea, Barcelona, Inter Milan, Juventus, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, Real Madrid and Tottenham Hotspur have all joined as founding clubs. It is anticipated that a further 3 clubs will join ahead of the inaugural season, which is intended to commence as soon as practicable. So this is going to happen as quickly as it possibly can. Now, as I said, there are no French or German clubs involved in this as of yet. It is expected to be the case if this competition does go ahead. There have been reports in the last couple of hours that Newcastle could in fact be one of those 3 teams who will join before the commencement of this competition. But like I said, a lot of these reports at the moment are speculation, and I can't imagine Newcastle will be high up the pecking order in terms of teams they could want in this. Going forward, the founding club look forward to holding discussions with UEFA and FIFA to work together in partnership to develop the best outcomes for the new league and for football as a whole. The formation of the Super League comes at a time when the global pandemic has accelerated the instability in the existing European football economic model. Further, for a number of years, the founding clubs have had the objective of improving the quality and intensity of existing European competitions throughout each season, and of creating a format for top clubs and players to compete on a regular basis. Now, I saw something on Twitter about 20 minutes ago as well, which I tweeted about, which I'll bring to you now about this. It's part of the statement that says, essentially, they want this to continue. They want domestic football to continue as it is, but to basically make this replace the Champions League. So the format of this competition, there are 20 participating clubs with 15 founding clubs, and a qualifying mechanism for a further 5 teams to qualify annually based on achievements in the prior season. So a big kind of concern in this was, first of all, that it would replace domestic football, which is not going to be the case, but also that there would be no promotion or relegation system within this. However, that is not true. There is a qualifying mechanism, as we say, for a further 5 teams to qualify annually based on achievements in the prior season. So midweek fixtures with all participating clubs continuing to compete in their respective national leagues, preserving the traditional domestic match calendar, which remains at the heart of the club game. Now, UEFA aren't happy with this. Domestic competitions, domestic governing bodies are not happy with this. As I say, I think it's the Daily Mirror reporting, but along with a number of other sources, that it is highly likely, if clubs do go ahead with this, that they will be kicked out of their domestic competitions next season. Now, that's, I think, one that we will keep an eye on, but if this is going to be something clubs will go for, I doubt that will be the biggest thing that they would be concerned about with this, because if clubs are then to be reinstated in their domestic tree, the domestic football system, they would have to begin their journey back in the 5th division of those domestic leagues. So for Spurs, for Liverpool, United, City, Arsenal, Chelsea, that would be the National League. That would be outside the EFL. That would be down in semi-professional football in the 5th tier of English, the English football tree. That is a big concern. That is, look, I think a lot of this is these big clubs trying to get bargaining chips with the new Champions League format that was proposed last week, that is expected to be confirmed tomorrow. It in itself is an absolute joke. We'll have to wait and see where that one goes and where things will continue to develop from there on that one. But continuing on the domestic one, or on the European Super League, it would, as part of the format, an August start with clubs participating in 2 groups of 10 playing home and away fixtures, with the top 3 in each group automatically qualifying for the quarterfinals. Teams finishing 4th and 5th will then compete in a 2-legged playoff for the remaining quarterfinal positions. A 2-leg knockout format will be used to reach the final at the end of May, which will be staged as a single fixture at a neutral venue. Now that's, I would argue, more similar to the current Champions League format than what UEFA have proposed the Champions League will become in the coming years. But what this means to me, and what that sentence in itself says, they want something similar to the Champions League. They want to continue what the Champions League is, but without a qualification process that can see the likes of Leicester get into that. They will prohibit the likes of Dinamo Zagreb, Olympiacos. I'm thinking of Eastern European clubs off the top of my head that could get into this competition. It is the Champions League, but the rich clubs are always in it. Don't get me wrong, I would love nothing more than to see Tottenham compete with Europeans elite every year on a consistent basis, to face the likes of Barcelona, Real Madrid, Juventus, Inter Milan, Bayern Munich, PSG, and push ourselves and test ourselves at that elite level, the level we want to be in, but not like this. Teams to get into these competitions, to compete with the best of the best, need to earn their way into it. Looking at the Premier League this season, at the moment, West Ham and Leicester are looking quite likely, and it's very possible they will be in the Champions League next season. Now, I don't want to see West Ham in the Champions League. I don't like West Ham, but that is the beauty of domestic football and the current qualification process for the Champions League, that anybody can get into it. Look at before the pandemic caused the halt in the season last year, Sheffield United had just been promoted and they were looking to potentially get into the Champions League. That will no longer be possible if this happens. It is as simple as that. It is the Champions League, but the rich clubs are always in it. And that is all they want. They want the rich clubs to be constantly competing with each other just so they can get more money. And it's all about the greed among these clubs that already have a monopoly over the economic situation the football is in right now. Speaking of money, the new annual tournament will provide significantly greater economic growth and support for European football via a long-term commitment to uncapped solidarity payments, which will grow in line with league revenues. These solidarity payments will be substantially higher than those generated by the current European competition and are expected to be in excess of €10 billion during the course of the initial commitment period of the clubs. In addition, the competition will be built on a sustainable financial foundation, with all founding clubs signing up to a spending framework in exchange for their commitment. And this is the bit that got me. In exchange for their commitment, founding clubs will receive an amount of €3.5 billion solely to support their infrastructure investment plans and to offset the impact of the COVID pandemic. So if this goes ahead, if this begins, the 12 founding clubs, as we listed a while ago, they will be given €3.5 billion to spend on infrastructure. Just straight up, if you're joining, here's the money. Have it. Split it amongst yourselves. €3.5 billion among 12 clubs. We are looking at National League, League One, League Two teams on the brink of extinction because of this COVID pandemic, because the fans can't get into the ground, because they're struggling to pay their players. There's no sponsors, whatever it is. They're on the brink of extinction. And these clubs who continue to spend hundreds of millions in the transfer window have another €3.5 billion they want to spread amongst themselves. There's so many clubs that are in danger. Their very existence is in danger. Look at Bury. last season or the season before, they're gone. They're no longer a football club. There's tradition, there's foundations of a community gone. And yet these clubs with this extra money just want to feed themselves. The greedy are getting greedier and the rich want to get richer. And that is all this current situation is. That is all they want to do here. And the man behind it, Florentino Perez, the president of Real Madrid, said the following, and he's of course the chairman of the Super League. We will help football at every level and take it to its rightful place in the world. Football is the only global sport in the world with more than 4 billion fans, and our responsibility as big clubs is to respond to their desires. This is about the fans. Football is about the fans. That's it. If we've learned one thing in the last year and a half, it's that football is about the fans. It is about the families, the brothers, the sisters, the fathers, the sons, the mothers, the daughters, sitting in those stands and watching their team play, cheering their team on. That is what football is about. Go onto Twitter, go onto Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, any social media platform, and you will see that not one, well, I won't say not one, but 99% of fans do not want this to happen. They do not want this to happen. And it is as simple as that. Fans do not want this to happen. So if you're saying football is about the fans, if you are saying that this is about giving back to the fans and giving them what they want, that's not it. That's not what you're doing here. That's not what you're helping. You're going after your own greedy needs, wants, and desires to get yourself more money that you don't need. That clubs, as I said, that are on the brink of extinction during this COVID pandemic, they need this. You don't. It is absolute greed. The Yid Kid with the $2 super chat, thank you very much for that. It is massively appreciated. It says, hi Matt, new member here. Do you still do member show? Thank you for joining the membership. Massively appreciated. We do member shows before every single game. So for every watch along, there will be a member call-in show. So the next one will be ahead of the game against Southampton on Wednesday. So do make sure to tune in for that. And again, thank you for the super chat and thank you for joining that membership. Continuing on this statement, if I can find where I am. So the way the board is worked, it's Florentino Perez is the chairman, and there are a few co-chairmen. There's Andrea Agnelli, who's the current chairman of Juventus. There's John Henry, the current chairman of Liverpool. Stan Kroenke of Arsenal and the Glazers of Manchester United will be they'll be all vice chairman of the Super League. Andrea Agnelli, the chairman of Juventus, said, our 12 founder clubs represent billions of fans across the globe and 99 European trophies. We have come together at this critical moment, enabling European competition to be transformed, putting the game we love on a sustainable footing for the long-term future, substantially increasing solidarity and giving fans and amateur players a regular flow of headline fixtures that will feed their passion for the game while providing them with engaging role models. Now, that statement, providing them with a regular flow of headline fixtures, in theory, that sounds great. It can sound great. I think with the way they've put this, with the way this has gone about it, it doesn't really seem that great. But the idea of PSG playing Bayern Munich and then Barcelona playing Juventus and then Real Madrid playing Man City and then United playing Inter and those games being a weekly occurrence, it interests everyone some bit. You can't really deny that. The idea of those games being played all the time does have to interest you a bit. But the novelty will quickly wear off. And I think we have found that with Premier League football over the last year or so. You know, it used to be a case of there might be one game on a Saturday and two on a Sunday televised, and that's what you got to watch. And it was great when a game was on. You got to sit down, you got to enjoy it. I find myself, and I know a lot of other people are in the same situation, where now when there's 7 or 8 Premier League games being televised every single week, the novelty wears off, and you don't want to watch, you know, in the past where you might have watched, you know, a City against Newcastle or Chelsea against Burnley, that kind of game. You're not really going to watch that anymore because the novelty is gone, and that is exactly what is going to happen with this. That is exactly what is going to happen if you're watching those games all the time. It's just not going to be as appealing to you 2-3 years down the line. And I'm going to what Joel Glazer here said, the chairman of Manchester United. By bringing together the world's greatest clubs and players to play each other throughout the season, the Super League will open a new chapter for European football, ensuring world-class competition and facilities and increased financial support for the wider football pyramid. So they do claim they will be supporting the wider football pyramid. I'm not entirely sure how true that is. I don't really know how viable an option that is. This is something that is massively up in the air. No one knows what is going on, but this is what we're being told. This is what has come out. As we said, they were teasing the announcement over the last maybe 6 or 7 hours, and it finally has come. And I'm just going through Twitter to see if there's any more breaking news in this, because as I was saying, there's things breaking over the last however. And I'm seeing breaking news here now that 12 clubs forming Super League all quit the European Club Association. So I would assume that is with regards to the Champions League and the Europa League. I'm not entirely sure how true that is. There's just a few things on Twitter there. I'll try and figure that out in a second. But FIFA have also released an official statement on this. As per Fabrizio Romano, FIFA can only express its disapproval to a closed European breakaway league outside of the international football structures and not respecting the aforementioned principles. So FIFA and UEFA are completely against this. UEFA have said every club and player participating in the European Super League could be banned from all UEFA and FIFA competitions, European or international level. So as we say, Tottenham could be banned from the Premier League. Take a minute to get that. Tottenham could be banned from English football competition. Tottenham could never play after this season in English football competitions again. The Premier League, the FA Cup, the League Cup, whatever it is, Tottenham could be banned. And as we say, if they are banned and they want to come back in, they'll have to start from the National League. They'll have to start from right at the bottom of that tree. That is what will happen if Spurs go ahead with this. It is crazy stuff, and it is a groundbreaking, historical day in football that this is even a possibility at the moment. Now, as I said, there are reports that the 12 clubs forming the Super League have all quit the European Club Association, which is, I would assume, the Champions League and the Europa League. I'm trying to find some kind of more reliable kind of sources on this. ABC in Spain is saying the teams can be kicked out of the European club thing with immediate effect. So even if they haven't broken out, they will be kicked out of it, and they could be kicked out of it immediately, which would of course affect the remainder of the Champions League with Chelsea and Manchester City in the semi-finals. It could end up being a final between PSG and Porto if this is going the way that it does appear to be going. Look, I know I haven't gone through many comments. I've been trying to get this out, to get as much information across as we can. I'll take a look at the comments here. Jordan saying as if we haven't had a crap enough season already. Martin's so disappointed. Yassine says Spurs sold their soul. And looking at the responses to Spurs' tweet, there's no one happy about this. And looking at the comments here in this live chat, no one is happy about this. The fans don't want this. Celery Agent says RIP world. Jordan says, I feel like the world has gone utterly mad, and it really has. Martin says, will the rest of the Premier League games continue? I'm not entirely sure about that. And to be honest, I'm not sure anyone is really sure about that. There's going to be a lot of confusion, a lot of questions that will be going ahead over the next couple of days, next couple of weeks, as we try to get some sort of clarification on what this does mean for the teams involved in the European Super League, and of course what it means for the teams who are left behind. I imagine if you just take, for example, the 6 clubs in the Premier League, if they do go into this breakaway competition and are subsequently banned from the Premier League, you're looking at the current table. Would it be Leicester, West Ham, Everton, Leeds in that top 4? But what would interest in the Premier League be from there? Like we talk of the teams in this competition in the European Super League representing approximately 4 billion fans around the globe. The English Premier League has always, of course, been massive in England, but it's a global competition now. There are fans all over the world. If these big clubs break away from that, what will that global interest in the Premier League become? They say they want to support the entire football tree from the very, very bottom to the very, very top. But in doing this, they're taking away the interest from that and immediately minimizing the profits and the funds that will be invested into that. The Premier League is in danger. I never thought I'd say those words, but the Premier League is in danger. There are reports coming from Carousel Deportivo that UEFA will hold meetings tomorrow to discuss the possible sanctions for all teams involved in the European Super League. So as I said, the potential sanctions are they will be kicked out of all UEFA and FIFA competitions domestically in Europe and in the world. Players who are involved in any club going into the European Super League run the risk of not being allowed to compete in the 2022 World Cup. Now that leads the question, what happens to those players who don't play in the World Cup? They will not be allowed to play for their national team. Of course, the Euros under UEFA jurisdiction and the World Cup under FIFA jurisdiction. Are the teams going into these competitions running the risk of losing those players? Take Tottenham, for example. If Spurs do go into this European Super League, England qualify for the 2022 World Cup. England with possibly one of their best squads that they've had since the 2006, 2008, 2010 era. Harry Kane, he's not going to want to miss that World Cup. He really isn't. He's not going to do that. He's going to leave Tottenham. And he's not going to go to any of the 11 teams in that European Super League. Where's he going to go? There's so many questions and so many unanswered concerns that are going about at the moment. It really is. Everything is up in the air, and it's a terrifying predicament that we're in right now. Bradley says this cannot happen. Football is life for some people, and you're going to ruin it just like that. Disgrace. And I couldn't agree more with you, Bradley. The first thing I tweeted when this news broke a while ago was that it's simply, if European Super League commences, football is dead. Football is over, and that is that. I feel as though there's not much debate to go there. Aaron Fernandez tuning in says, sorry, only just seen your live. No worries, Aaron, at all. It was a spontaneous stream. This is disgusting. Money grab and hold money talks at the end of the day. The contracts the players will get at these founding clubs will be crazy, untouchable. And of course, that is the possibility, there will be so much money going into this. As we said, every founding club, if this competition goes ahead, will be entitled to a share of £3.5 billion immediately, plus a pool of expected to be £10 billion over the initial commitment period. The money is going to be absolutely insane. And that is why Daniel Levy has put Spurs into this. Let's talk about Spurs now. That is why Daniel Levy has put Tottenham into the European Super League. I saw a tweet a while ago from our good friend Oscar Mario over at All League TV asking why the likes of Arsenal and Spurs have gone into this competition. The very reason we've gone into the competition is the money. Spurs can barely compete with Newcastle and Everton and Aston Villa. If Spurs go into a competition where on a weekly basis we are playing PSG, Bayern, Inter Milan, Juventus, Real Madrid, the best of the best, we will not compete. We will lose every game. It is look, I hate to say it, I love Spurs. I hope we win every game. It's not going to happen. We go into that competition, we are in huge, huge trouble of being embarrassed every single week. Daniel Levy has not gone into this for footballing reasons. He has not gone into this because he feels Tottenham can win it. He's not going into it because he thinks Tottenham can compete with these teams. He's gone into it because of the money he knows it'll generate for Spurs. And look, I've had so many debates with people on this channel, on other channels, in my own life as well, about Daniel Levy and what he actually needs to do for Spurs and all this and the economics and all that. But this is purely based on money, and it is a decision made with his pocket and not the hearts of the fans in his mind. The fans, I don't know how many times I can say it, the fans don't want this. Every club going into this is doing it purely for the money, and they don't care about the fans. They don't, and it's heartbreaking. I saw Holly Agambar, another good friend of the channel, a while ago, saying, why do we even love football when it's clear that they don't care about the fans? And that is another situation that we find ourselves in right now. They don't care about us. They really don't. They're going into this for the money. They're putting the smaller teams, every team from the very bottom to the just below the pinnacle of the football tree, they're putting them to the wayside. They don't care. They have this money and they're putting it in for themselves. And that is all they care about right now. And it is absolutely disgusting to see. And like I said, a historical, heartbreaking day in football. And there's a report here from Sam Wallace of the Sunday Telegraph saying the 12 Super League clubs are completely committed to the breakaway. So while this is a proposal, it does look as though these clubs have committed to this and they're going ahead with this regardless of the repercussions. Sky Sports are saying each Super League club will receive a €3.5 billion payment. So look, from what I read, I thought there was a £3.5 billion payment between the 12 clubs, but Sky Sports are now saying Super League organisers say each club participating in the competition will receive a payment of £3.5 billion. I actually can't believe £3.5 billion for 12 clubs. Now my math isn't great, so I'm going to get this calculator open and see how much money that is, because I'm tired and I'm also sick to death of what football is doing to us. £3.5 billion across 12 teams is a total of £42 billion. £42 billion immediate payment going to the 12 clubs partaking in this. Imagine what you could do with £42 billion. Imagine the clubs you could save. Imagine the people, the lives, everything you can save with £42 billion. They're putting it in to a European Super League for the fans that the fans don't want. It really is a heartbreaking day for football. And it's one where a lot of teams run the risk of losing a lot of losing their club. Like we said, they could be kicked out of the domestic competition, and then if they want to get back into that domestic competition, they have to start at the bottom of the tree. Spurs will have to start in the National League. A commentator from Tom Crook says, "Hey Matt, big fan. Why couldn't we compete if we get all this money? Also, Levy's done it to pay off the stadium straight away." Tom, thank you for the kind words. Why couldn't we compete? Yeah, we are getting £3.5 billion, but all the other clubs are also getting it. And as I said, with the risk of players wanting to leave because they will not be allowed to compete in for the national team in competitions like that, I feel as though the best of the best will leave. I think Harry Kane will prioritise winning a World Cup with England over going away with Spurs in this competition, or even moving to another team within this competition. I just think the morals and the ethics that will be shown by these players, will see a lot of them leave this competition. There have been reports earlier today that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Jurgen Klopp have said they will leave their clubs if this does happen. So I also saw a comment there on Twitter a moment ago talking about the silence from players. I haven't seen a single player talk about this. I haven't seen a single player speak out against or in support of this. And there's going to be a lot going on behind the scenes, and it's Jay Burt now of the Telegraph. Jason Burt, who was saying all Super League clubs have left the European Club Association. So I think we can, with all the reports coming out about this, I think we can now take this for granted. The Telegraph here as well. Liverpool have officially left the European Club Association and can never play a UEFA competition again. So that report specifically on Liverpool, but will be applicable to every single club within this European Super League. They have all left the European Club Association and can never play a UEFA competition again. We're sitting here in a season where we have been heartbroken, absolutely heartbroken to not see Spurs qualify for the Champions League. And we are hearing that we will never, ever see Spurs play Champions League football again. Less than 2 years ago, we first reached the final of the Champions League and were heartbroken to be beaten by Liverpool in Madrid on the 1st of June 2019. And less than 2 years later, we are hearing that we will never see Spurs play in the Champions League ever again. That for me has driven a lot home. Other breaking news now is saying the Champions League and the Europa League have been cancelled temporarily. Football is in turmoil. Football is in turmoil, and it is in huge danger. And I honestly can't believe what has happened. This feels like a crazy, crazy dream, and I'm just waiting to wake up. But the Champions League and Europa League have been temporarily suspended. The 12 teams within the European Super League have left the European Club Association and will never be allowed to play European football again. I apologise if I'm missing any chats. I also apologise if I'm missing any super chats. I will come back and check that at the end of the stream. If you do want to make sure your comments are read out, your questions answered, do put in a super chat. And I'll go through the chat now for a few minutes, and I'll get to as many of those as we possibly can. Also, if you are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe for more rants like this. Some big news coming up in the next couple of days on a personal level. And also for more Spurs content and stuff like that. And do hit that like button if you, like me, are absolutely fuming about this news of the European Super League. So let's dive into the chat and let's take a look as we learn the Spurs may never compete in the Champions League ever again. Thomas James Smith says, "What a massive mistake! I'm about crying," and I know there's a lot of people that will be there with you. Chris Benoit says Super League is the new Champions League and we will play every season. But Chris, we were on the risk of not playing in the Premier League as a consequence. UEFA and the domestic associations and domestic federations know how much this will affect every other team in the football tree, and you can't prioritise 12 at the running the risk of losing the rest of them. And look, I can see the appeal to some fans, but at the end of the day, I don't want to play all these teams every single week. First of all, if we don't deserve it, and then if it's going to cost us our place in the Premier League. Can you imagine a world where Spurs aren't in the Premier League? You know, I know in decades gone past that, yes, that was a possibility, but that was through relegation to the Championship or Second Division, whatever it was called then. But Spurs might never play in the Premier League again after this season. We, from what we're hearing, regardless of what happens, we will never play in the Champions League again. Some more reports suggesting that the Champions League and the Europa League have been cancelled temporarily. I see some jokes saying that doesn't affect Spurs anyway, it doesn't matter, but this really is a heartbreaking night for football, and a night that will be remembered forever, and certainly not for good reasons. Finn Looney, thanks for tuning in, says it's all about the money, Matt. The owners don't care about the football. They don't know what football means to the fans, and that is the sad truth of it. And you know, we've been talking a lot in recent years about people taking over clubs, like looking at PSG, Manchester City, and even to some extent what Roman Abramovich has done at Chelsea, where it's all about the money and they will invest in any single player they want to. But look, at the end of the day, we still had football. We still had good teams. We still had competitions. But if they're now prioritizing money over the very foundations, the very traditions of football, I mean, it's the end, isn't it? I really do think it's the end if that is the case. Deepak says, I don't know why people are crying. It's all about money at the end. We as an international fan don't care about what goes on in the UK. Samira says, football is dying because of these money-hungry owners. I'm devastated. As a Liverpool fan, I will miss the Merseyside derbies. And that's also a thing. I didn't even think about the derbies and things like that. Spurs getting to laugh at West Ham as they lose their cup final. No, it didn't happen this season, but in most seasons they lose their cup final. Those games, think of the FA Cup, the beauty of playing like the likes of Marine, what Spurs did for Marine earlier this season, what Spurs did for Leyton Orient with the whole fundraiser through the Justin Edinburgh Foundation. That stuff is gone. That is gone. there's nothing we can do about that. That is gone. Spurs raised so much money through Marine through the online ticket schemes. Of course, the one, as I said, for Leyton Orient. That's not going to happen. The Cheltenham taking the lead against Manchester City in the FA Cup. The Crawley, when they were non-league, making it through to whatever. Lincoln and I forget what other team it was, but a few years back, one of them made it to the quarter-final of the FA Cup. That's not going to happen anymore. We're not going to get to enjoy that. We're not going to see that because we're going to be in a breakaway competition of Spurs losing 5, 6, 7-0 every single week while this is all going on back home, and we won't get to take part in it anymore. William Crawford says, so the Champions League is cancelled. The reports are saying that the Champions League and the Europa League have been temporarily cancelled after the 12 European Super League teams pulled out of the European Club Association and will never play in European competition again. And I'd love to know what this means for the games over the next couple of days. Will there be boycotts? Will there be protests and all that? Marca are saying there's no turning back anymore. Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, and the other teams in the Super League will never play Champions League and European football or Europa League again. That is coming from Marca, a quite reliable source over in Spain. BBC Sport now confirming that the Champions League and the Europa League have been cancelled. This is it for football, isn't it? It's going to take a whole lot. It's going to take a whole lot to come back from this. Football's in the gutter. Football's dead, and Spurs have played a very, very, very big part in that. Again, look, get your questions, your comments, and all that in the live chat. I'll go through many of them if I can. Don't forget to like and subscribe and all that good stuff while you're here. And look, as Haytham says, if there's any positive to come from this, is that Arsenal will not win the Europa League this year. I think we'll be happy to see that. Same with Chelsea and Manchester City in the in the Champions League. Victor says this could be the best thing to happen to Spurs, depending how you see it. This was inevitable. A change for the sake of money was coming to European football. And I agree. Richard Cracknell from Last Word on Spurs, I was talking to him on David Harris's channel, the Irish Hotspur, a few weeks back, and he was saying it is an inevitability that we will eventually see European Super League. And to some extent, I did agree with him, but I never thought it would happen. Never thought it would happen this soon. Silver Surfer, thank you very much for the 179 of the super chat. Says hypocritical. This outrage will last 2 months max. Well, look, I do think there is going to be an element of we'll be upset, we'll be angry, but eventually we will get used to it. We won't necessarily be happy about it. It won't necessarily be something we'll enjoy or something that we'll support in the long term. But if it does happen, we will eventually get used to it. But I don't think we'll have the love and the kind of passion for football that we have had in recent years. And like I said, the FA Cup upsets, all this, all that, everything that makes football what it is. And it's look, it is a great time when Spurs play City on a Sunday, or when you see a Manchester derby, Merseyside derby, London derby, and all that. It is fantastic, but the novelty will wear off if it is every single week. Solo Shoe says, check Madrid Zone, quick breaking news. I've been following them a bit because they seem to be very, very on top of all this evening, as they always are. So 3 more teams will be promoted. Oh, look at this. Oh, Spurs are out of the Premier League. Telegraph Sport are reporting that 3 more teams will be promoted in La Liga and Serie A next season, and 6 more teams will be promoted in the Premier League. Reporting from the Daily Telegraph that the teams involved in the European Super League have been kicked out of their domestic competitions. This honestly seems like the most bizarre thing. Have Spurs just been kicked out of the Premier League? As Simon Gill here says, 3 more teams will be promoted in La Liga and Serie A next season. 6 more teams will be promoted in the Premier League. Have Spurs just been kicked out of the Premier League? I'm actually speechless. I am actually speechless. This is the night that we never wanted to see in football. Haytham Al-Batashi saying, I feel sick right now. Araf saying, goodbye Premier League. Nice knowing you. It appears as though Spurs, Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal and Chelsea have been kicked out of the Premier League. Now, I don't know what that means for this season. I don't know how the season will be played out. I don't know what's happening. No one knows what's happening. But reports from the Daily Telegraph that 3 extra teams will be promoted to the Serie A and La Liga, and 6 extra teams promoted to the Premier League next season. I assume in preparation for the disqualification of the teams who've gone into the European Super League. This is it for football. This is happening. And I came on the stream talk about, maybe we could fight this. Maybe we could let the clubs know. Maybe this could be something that we'll look back on in a few years. Oh, remember when that nearly happened? Welsh Guy 2014 says, anything official? There's nothing official yet, but like I said, these reports saying that all these extra teams will be promoted, and that what it essentially means, if it is true, is that Spurs have been kicked out of the Barclays, of the English Premier League. Yeah, look, again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm going to share this out on Twitter as we, again, reel from the news that Spurs have potentially just been kicked out of the Premier League. Again, there's nothing official on this. There's nothing to say that this is exactly true, but a lot of reports coming out that extra teams will be promoted to the Premier League next season. As Spurs are kicked out of the Premier League. Now, I know I'm repeating myself, but I'm just trying to get that tweet out. Kieran says, so basically World Cup Euros are finished, and look, players involved with these teams will not be allowed to compete in national competition. And a good comment here from Emma says, the Premier League will walk this back. They cannot afford to kick the 6 biggest clubs out of the league, would destroy the league financially. And that, I think, is the one thing that we have potentially saving us. But I do think it's going to be a case of kind of the two of them being really stubborn, and the team saying, oh, well, we're doing this, and the Premier League saying, well, we'll get rid of you. And it's honestly just going to be a case of who's going to give in first. And it seems as though the majority of the negotiation power and the cards are well in the hands of the teams taking part in this competition, because, as we said, each team that goes into the European Super League gets an immediate payment of €3.5 billion. And then a subsequent €10 billion over the initial commitment period. There's so much money in this. It is out of the hands of the Premier League. It is out of the hands of UEFA, of FIFA. This is now something that these clubs are committed to. We're in big trouble. Yashrid says that means at soccer's end. It very well could be. Celery Agent says, what players won't take part though? Will big clubs lose big players and principals? And as I was saying, that is a concern that I would be having, that if these players who take part in this competition are not allowed to compete in national tournaments, is Harry Kane going to leave Spurs? Is Hugo Lloris going to leave Spurs? These players who will want to play with their national team. And aside from that, the morals and the ethics of this, the players know more than anybody that football is for the fans. They're the fans who grew up watching the game and loved it so much they wanted to get in it themselves. The owners of these clubs and the presidents, the Florentino Perez's, the John Henrys, the Glazers, they aren't necessarily that kind of fan that has experienced what we experience watching football on a weekly basis that the players have been through. I think we're going to see a lot of boycotts. I think we may see protests. Is the Premier League in doubt? Is Tottenham's cup final against Manchester City in 7 days, is that in doubt? Will we be even playing that game? There's so much that will need to be answered. There's so much that we will find out over the next 10, 12, 24, 48 hours, as long as it takes to clarify this. As Hyperfans Television says, next season in the Champions League, representing England, it could be Leeds, Everton, West Ham, and Leicester. And Martin is saying, check Fabrizio Romano's Twitter. And usually on a stream, that means a good thing for a transfer. Fabrizio Romano has said there's nothing stated, official or confirmed yet about next Champions League and Europa League matches being temporarily suspended. No press release, nothing decided yet. UEFA meeting in the next hours will clarify this point. So Romano tweeting about this apparent suspension of the UEFA Champions League and Europa League, saying there's nothing official yet. UEFA will meet in the next couple of hours to clarify this point. Just to say how this news initially broke today was the leaking of the fact that there was an emergency meeting at UEFA to discuss the breakaway European Super League as the clubs came very close to releasing this proposal. And it's just gone on from there. And I actually remember in work today, I remember in work today seeing this for the first time and saying it to one of the lads I was working with. And I was like, oh yeah, imagine that happened. But this has progressed so rapidly and so bizarrely that Spurs may have just been kicked out of the Premier League. That is essentially what this has gone from. Me joking about a silly report earlier to Spurs potentially not being a Premier League club anymore. Spurs potentially never having the opportunity to play Champions League and Europa League football ever again. And Daniel Levy was already on a tightrope with Spurs fans, and this could be the end for Levy, could be the end for football. There's so many questions that will that are yet to be answered. I see a lot of people saying, nothing confirmed, so it's fake news. It doesn't mean it's fake news. Journalism is reporting and sometimes speculating, but there are people with inside sources within clubs and UEFA and all that. And Diario AS, another reliable source in Spain, are now saying that Italian, Spanish, and English federations are seriously considering cancelling the leagues for this season and to not award the trophy if the teams involved in the Super League win. Or so either they'll cancel it now or they will continue the competition. And if a team currently in the European Super League proposal win it, they won't get the trophy. Football is going absolutely insane. Football is all over the place. Football could be dead. And that is, I suppose, what to take from tonight. Finn saying we might be coding the Premier League in Limerick now. Cam Vlogs, thanks for tuning in, says it's a disgrace to football. Hey mate, how are you doing? Look, while Spurs are doing bad, Plymouth aren't doing much better either. Cam, of course, the last minute equaliser yesterday against Burton, it broke my heart, I won't lie to you. But good to see you, Cam. How are you doing? Dean says, will you still follow Spurs in this shambles of a league? Dean, I think you know what I say when I agree with what Shane said in that group chat a while ago, that look, we can sit here and say we won't support Spurs anymore, but at the end of the day, I'll never be able to sit there knowing Spurs are playing and not watch the game. I'll still watch them. I'll still support them. I may not support what they've done. I may not support what they represent or the owners or anything like that. But again, Dean, as Shane said, football isn't a football team isn't something you can just fall out of love with, or it's not something you can just give up on at any moment. It's a lot more than that, and I think it'd be very difficult to just sit here and say, well, I won't follow Spurs anymore, because I think I know as well as everybody that is that would be a fabrication of the truth. But yeah, look, a lot of frustration here in the live chat, a lot of frustration on Twitter. GR says, guys, please understand this is a power play for more money. This will not happen in the format imagined. UEFA has a meeting tomorrow to separate this with regards to finance for the Champions League. Well, look, GR, I hope you're true, or I hope you're right. Excuse me, I hope, speak the devil. How are you, Shane? I know there's just so much to kind of gather here. The Game Cat says, Maddie, can you bottom line what's going on for those of us who are slow? But look, anyone who's tuning in, anyone who hasn't quite heard this news just yet, there was a proposal released earlier through an official statement from the European Super League that 12 clubs are breaking away into a European Super League, a midweek league that will, in the eyes of the proposal, continue. The domestic competitions will continue, but to replace the Champions League, it's a midweek competition. We'll run through the format one more time. It is there will be 20 participating clubs with 15 founding clubs and a qualifying mechanism for a further 5 teams to qualify annually based on achievements in the prior season. It'll contain midweek fixtures with all participating clubs continuing to compete in their respective national leagues, preserving the traditional domestic match calendar, which remains at the heart of the club game. The tournament will be an August start, with clubs participating in 2 groups of 10, playing home and away fixtures, with the top 3 in each group automatically qualifying for the quarterfinals. Teams who finish in 4th and 5th in their group will then compete in a 2-legged playoff of the remaining quarterfinal positions. A 2-leg knockout format will be used to reach the final at the end of May, which will be staged as a single fixture at a neutral venue. So not too dissimilar from the current Champions League format, but it's one that threatens European football. It's one that threatens domestic football. As Finn says, everyone hit that like button. Finn, thanks a million. Really appreciate that. Do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well while you're down there. Paul says, I heard that Spurs are joining the European Super League to lower the pressure on them to win a trophy. Could be false, though. Paul is an Arsenal fan, so let's get a hashtag We Hate Arsenal in the live chat, just so Paul knows exactly how welcome he is here. Emma says, Wenger is 100% correct in this. This will benefit Spanish and Italian clubs because it will weaken the Premier League that has been dominating TV deals for decades. I didn't hear that from Wenger, but another fantastic point from Emma, that it probably does suit teams outside of the Premier League. And you have to look as well at the French Ligue 1 and the Bundesliga as well. No French or German teams participating in this competition. Will the bulk interest for domestic football then switch to the French and German leagues? Because you'll still have PSG there. You'll still have Lille, Saint-Etienne, all them, Lyon, and in Germany you'll have Bayern Munich, Leipzig, Dortmund, and all that. There's just a whole lot to find out. There's a whole lot to go. And look, we're going to leave it there. It's been a bizarre stream. I wasn't expecting these numbers. Still almost 400 people watching. We've surpassed 100 likes. So thank you very much to everyone who has smashed that like button as well. Thank you to Silver Surfer and to the Yid Kid for the super chats. And thank you to the 30 plus of you who have subscribed as well over the last 44 or so minutes. It's a big concern. This could be, as I said, the end of football. There's going to be so much that we'll need to figure out over the the coming weeks. Keep an eye on the channel. I'll bring as much as I possibly can with regards to the situation here live or on videos on this channel. Hit that like button if you've enjoyed this. Make sure to subscribe if you're new. As we say, we're trying to get to 6,400 subscribers. The numbers are absolutely spiraling. They're flying in recent weeks. So please do smash that subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, to everyone who's tuned in, all 4,500 of you over the last 45 minutes, crazy numbers. Thanks so much for watching.